queuing everything up, right? Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. All right. Okay. All right. So we're recording now. So hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Honka, and I have a company called Your Key to Senior Living Options. I help seniors in and around the Villages area find resources for independent assisted memory care communities, but also home care, hospice, and any resources that they might need to keep themselves safe or their loved ones safe in their home and beyond. So I have been working with Sharon for about, I think, 2.5 years, I think, Sharon. And we're very lucky to have her. She's going to be doing a presentation shortly. I wanted to talk a little bit about our caregiver support group that meets every other Saturday, and that's virtual. So if anybody's interested in that, you can find information on my website, Your Key to Senior Living Options. It's free. We are going to hear Sharon talk a little bit about the DREAM program. So Sharon, tell us a little bit about you, the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, and what services you provide, and where did this idea of the DREAM program come from, and where did the funds come from? So we're so excited to hear from you. This is really exciting for our area, and I'm glad you were able to join us today and to share this, because we have so many families that just don't know about keeping their loved ones safe at home, or perhaps if they leave, what does that look like? So again, thanks, Sharon, for joining us, and I'm going to let you take it away.
All right. Thank you, Lisa, so much for having me. And as Lisa mentioned, we have been working together for over 2 years now, and she's been such a good resource to us, and really enjoy the working relationship we have together. So I'm going to take the moment to share my screen here. Okay. So as Lisa mentioned, we're going to talk about the DREAM program. This program is relatively new. We've just kind of launched and got started in December. So we're going on about 4, almost 5 months now. So a little bit about myself. I am the Victim Services Manager with the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. I have been working in the field of victim advocacy for about 8 or 9 years. So when my position, excuse me, at the Sheriff's Office originally really involved victims of crime. So that's domestic violence, sexual assault, homicides, robberies, any victim of crime, anybody that's touched by crime is who we have been serving. We provide services, we provide support through the criminal justice system, and resources in the community. Because of our position with the Sheriff's Office, we oftentimes got called for other things that were not victims of crime. So if there was a tragic loss that a family experienced, we would get called to respond, to work with the family, to provide support services and resources in the community. If that kind of evolved into cases that involved people with Alzheimer's and dementia. So we would get calls regarding missing persons, somebody who had wandered from home and their loved one couldn't find them. And we would go out to work with the family to provide support to them. And when our deputies were able to safely locate their loved one, we talked about resources and support services that would help keep their loved one safe. And that's how I met Lisa. And I also started developing relationships with other community support services, such as the Alzheimer's Family Organization. So since that time, my job responsibilities and my job has grown to really encompass not only victims of crime, because a lot of people that I came into contact with would say, well, I'm not a victim. And people with cases involving missing persons are not victims at all, but we have become kind of the support services unit, so to speak, of the Sheriff's Office. So we really try to provide services and referrals to any family, anybody in the community that needs it. So my work with the Alzheimer's Family Organization, we started referring families to them. I got involved with them through my work on their board of directors. And so now I serve as the vice president for their board of directors. And we also coordinated and formed what we call the LEADER Task Force, which stands for Law Enforcement, Alzheimer's, Dementia, Education, and Response. And the goal of this task force was to come together with all of the counties that the Alzheimer's Family Organizations, the Alzheimer's Family Organization serves. We come together with all the sheriff's offices and police departments in those 9 counties and talk about resources, education, and training for law enforcement in responding to people with Alzheimer's and dementia. So we really recognized what a need it is when our deputies are responding to a family member who's caregiving for somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia, right? What are the needs and concerns of that family member, but then also how to communicate with somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia. Maybe they're coming across somebody who has wandered safe from home and needs assistance with getting home safe. How to approach somebody who may feel confused and be agitated. And so we've really worked towards developing resources for law enforcement and training for law enforcement to address the very specific and unique needs of caregivers and their loved one who has Alzheimer's and dementia. So that's been going for over a year now. And I've been very involved with that as well. And this is something that I feel very passionately about, and I really enjoy my work in this field. So just a little bit of an idea of why this has become such an issue, especially in Sumter County. I'm not sure how many of you are from Sumter County, or I assume somewhere in the Villages, Lake County, Marion County. But the Alzheimer's Association is predicting that 1 in 10 persons over the age of 65 has Alzheimer's and dementia. And 60% of those will wander from a safe environment. And unfortunately, these cases, when law enforcement is responding, it's a very scary time for caregivers. You know, they were taking care of something in the other room. They had to go to the store. They got distracted in some way, and now they can't find their loved one because they've left the home, or they got confused and they don't know how to find their way home. So it's a very scary and stressful time for caregivers. And 12%, according to the Elder Affairs report, of Sumter County residents are living with Alzheimer's and dementia. Our county is continuing to grow very fast. And so as these numbers, as our county grows, as our population grows, and as the people who have moved here continue to age, that number is going to grow. And so we really wanted to address the specific safety concerns for people living with Alzheimer's and dementia in our community. And this just kind of gives you an idea of the percentage of our population that's over the age of 65. As I mentioned in the previous slide, according to the Alzheimer's Association, 1 in 10 people over the age of 65 is diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. So according to our population statistics, that's over 15,000 people just in Sumter County alone. And 60% of those, so more than half, may exhibit wandering behavior and wander from a safe environment. So our question really became with the sheriff's office, and the sheriff and the chief and I had many conversations when this all started on how we help keep people safe. Law enforcement is very responsive in what we do, right? We respond to crisis. We respond to calls for service. But was there a way that we could help prevent the crisis? Was there a way that we could help people stay safe? And was there a way that we could help improve peace of mind for caregivers who are living with somebody with Alzheimer's and dementia, and help them keep their loved one home as long as possible? To give you an idea of some of the other programs for the Sumter County Sheriff's Office implemented this for a while back in the 90s, and some sheriff's offices are still using this kind of technology. If you've ever heard of Care Track, or the other one is called Project Lifesaver. It is a radio frequency technology that's often used by law enforcement in regards to missing persons, whether they be with Alzheimer's or dementia, or children with autism. So this kind of technology uses a bracelet that has a specific radio frequency. And what happens is these bracelets are issued to people in the community. And if one of them goes missing from home, law enforcement responds with a transmitter that can pick up the signal from that specific bracelet. So they put in the information for that specific bracelet, and they're able to use a transmitter to track where the person is. And what the transmitter does is it sends off a beeping sound to show the deputy that they are getting closer to the person. The faster the beeping gets, the closer they are to that person. The problem with that technology, although it has been successful in many cases, and I'm not here to talk negatively about the program because it has had a lot of successes, but for our specific needs, it didn't quite meet the goal of letting family members be in control and giving them peace of mind, and letting their loved one live home longer and preventing wandering behavior. That was our ultimate goal. Is there a way that we can prevent this kind of behavior? And so, and also there's a lot of limitations with that technology. If the person is in a vehicle, the radio frequency will not work. If the person is in certain types of buildings, it may not pick up the signal. If the person has wandered far enough that they're not in the immediate area, they're not going to pick up the signal for that bracelet. And what we know is sometimes caregivers will try to find their loved one for an extended amount of time before they call law enforcement. So now this person may have an hour or two head start on the deputies who are now trying to locate them. So there was a lot of limitations that we wanted to look for another alternative. And that led to us doing some research on GPS devices. And so we found a lot of GPS devices, some of which were attachable, smaller attachable devices. Some were in the form of a watch. And we tested these devices to see how they were used, how accurate they were, what their battery life was like, and things like that. And so we found a couple that we felt were accurate and easy enough to use for loved ones that were caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, which then led us to research grant opportunities to try to help people, because some people financially were not able to afford such a device. They ranged in price, a lot of them. So some people were not able to afford the cost, and there's a monthly fee that's also associated. So we wanted to try to be able to help people and give them this technology free of charge. So we researched some grant opportunities and found a grant through the Bureau of Justice Administration that the goal of the grant was to support programs that provided locative technology to people with Alzheimer's, dementia, and autism in order to help them come home safe. We know that statistically speaking, the longer somebody is missing, the more dangerous. If they are in a vehicle, they are at risk for a car accident. If they're walking and there's bodies of water that are around, there's a danger there. If they're walking and there's traffic or highly trafficked roads, there's a danger there. So we really wanted to help them purchase this technology in order to keep their loved ones safe. And so we found this grant opportunity, like I said, through the Bureau of Justice Administration, and we applied. It is a federal grant, and we applied and were awarded the grant money last October 2020. So that's when we started the DREAM program. So the DREAM program, DREAM stands for Dementia, Recovery, Education, and Management. And so we recognize that part of the grant and part of the program is not just giving the technology to family members, but it's also, as I mentioned, the leader task force and the relationship that we have with the Alzheimer's Family Organization. It's networking with community providers. It is providing education not only to law enforcement, but also to families, and making sure that they are aware of all of the resources that are available to them. So the goals of the program, as I mentioned, to provide location technology to individuals with dementia and Alzheimer's or autism to assist with safe return home. And ultimately, we want to see a decrease in our missing person calls for service involving Alzheimer's or dementia or autism, and decrease the time of recovery in case of wandering. So we're not only hopefully going to see a decrease in the calls that we get, calls for service that we get, but also in the time that it takes for us to bring that person home. To give you an idea of how many calls for service Sumter County responds to involving a missing person, it comes out for the last 2 years to almost one a week. So almost one call, a missing person call a week for somebody diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. That doesn't count autism. That's only specifically to Alzheimer's and dementia. And the average, so out of all of our missing person calls for service, it's almost 25%. So almost 1 in 4 calls that we receive regarding a missing person involves somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia. Our average time to locate somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia in 2019 was 2 hours and 14 minutes. So imagine being a caregiver for somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia. That 2 hours and 14 minutes feels like a lifetime. The shortest time that we located somebody was 7 minutes. And the longest time that year was 5 hours and 44 minutes. And that person was actually located in a vehicle in a different county, had taken a vehicle and drove the vehicle and was in a different county when we located them. And they were located thanks to the Silver Alert system that's available. So that gives you kind of an idea of Sumter County locally, what kind of calls for service that we are receiving. So the eligibility criteria, right now, there is no financial eligibility for this program. It doesn't matter what your financial status is. If you meet these criteria, we will give you one of the devices absolutely free. You must be a full-time resident of Sumter County, Florida. So right now, we're not extending the program to anybody who's only maybe here 4 or 5 months out of the year. You have to be a full-time resident of Sumter County. You have to have a medical diagnosis, or your loved one has to have a medical diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia, or anything else relating to memory impairment. And you must have a designated caretaker to assist with the daily charging and wearing of the device, and be at risk for wandering behavior, or have a recent call for service from the sheriff's office in which we came out to help bring the person home. But we know with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia, people are automatically at risk for wandering. If they haven't in the past, they may in the future. So with that said, we offer 2 different devices. We know that it's not a one size fits all. So we wanted to be able to give participants in the program a choice on what would best suit their needs. And so when I sit with somebody who's coming into the program, I make sure to have a conversation about both of the devices to decide which one is best for their needs and which one will help them with their caregiver and make their loved one feel comfortable. One of them is a watch. But like I said, we know that not everybody will wear a watch, doesn't want to wear a watch. They may be partial to a specific watch that they have. So we wanted to be able to offer something else. So there are two different devices that we offer. The first one is a watch offered by Fiera Care. And this shows you what the face of the watch looks like and a little screenshot of the app itself. But this is a better view of the charger, the watch, and all of the watches that we purchase have a locking clasp on it so that it is not easily removed by the person that's wearing it. And that device you see in the lower right-hand corner is the key that you use to unlock the watch band. The reason we purchased ones with locking clasps is we don't want to find the watch and not the person. So we wanted to make it a little bit, like where they needed assistance to take the watch off. So they didn't take the watch off and leave home. And so that we weren't able to use the watch to find it. This is both devices, but this is specifically to the watch. The watch allows you to identify a safe area, and it uses what's called geofencing technology. And so when you put your home address into the application, it will create what they call a safe zone around your home. You can do it around a family member's home. You can do it around if your loved one goes to a program during the day that you're not with, you can do it around that location. And what will happen is if the watch identifies that the person's location is outside of that area, the caregiver will get a notification on their phone. So say, for example, you are going to the store and your loved one who has Alzheimer's or dementia is staying home, and you go to the store and you get a notification on your phone if your loved one leaves the home. So you would get a notification saying that, John has left home. So now you as the caregiver know immediately when the person has left and where they are, and you're able to track them in case they are leaving somewhere and you're concerned about their safety or about them returning home safely. The other benefit of the watch is it also acts as a phone. So you're able to call the watch in case you need to communicate with your loved one. So it offers that, there's two different ways that you can connect to the watch. If you see the blue circle under the picture, that's just a regular phone call to the watch, where the wearer of the watch would have to press the answer button to speak to you through the watch as a phone. What I really loved about the watch is it has, if you see the red circle, that is a feature called Quick Connect. And what the Quick Connect feature does is it allows you to automatically connect to the watch without the wearer having to press anything or answer the phone. And you're able to speak through the watch to the wearer and communicate directly to them without them having to do anything. Now, here's the benefit to that. If you have somebody a loved one who has wandered from home and is confused or anxious, and their watch is ringing and they are too anxious and confused to answer the watch, you're able to connect automatically to the watch to talk to the person and say, listen, it's me, it's Sharon, where are you? I'm coming to get you, just stay where you are, or offer just a peace of mind to the person, a comfort to the person. But then you can also hear what's going on in the background, right? Does the person sound like they're in distress? Are there other people around? Is there something that you can surmise from what you can hear that you know what's going on or where the person is? So that really helps family members. And I have had many people that are involved in the program say that is the best feature about the watch, because it gives them such peace of mind that they can contact their loved one if they have wandered from home. So the other device is called a GeoBit. And the GeoBit, if you see, is the gray device, it's a smaller device that is, we call it a wearable device. Because as I mentioned before, the watch is not for everybody. The watch, a certain individual might not want to wear the watch. It may be too clunky, or they may be partial to a different watch. So we wanted to give an option that was different from the watch in case that wasn't a good fit. Also, the other benefit to the GeoBit, it has a much longer battery life than the watch. As you can tell, there's no touch screen. There's a lot less going on, so the battery does last longer. This is a benefit for some people alone, because the watch does need to be charged every day. And we have some participants who are concerned about wandering at nighttime, and they want to be able to attach this to pajamas or clothing that the person wears at night, so that they are alerted if they get up in the middle of the night and wander. So here's a closer look. This is about the size of the GeoBit. It's very small. This is one of the accessories that we offer that allows you to attach it to clothing. We call it a pin pouch. And what it does is the gray tube is actually a magnet, and it operates just like the things on clothing at the clothing store that stop you from stealing clothing, and they beep. So it needs a very strong magnet to take it off and to disconnect the pin from the connector. So it can't be removed without that strong magnet. So you're able to pin it to clothing that can't be removed without that magnet piece. And the GeoBit itself goes into that gray pouch. The other options, there's a couple different accessories, and we haven't purchased them all, but if something fits better for your loved one, we are able to use our funds to purchase that if it would be a better fit for you. But it does come with these attachment options that you can see on the screen. One is like a belt. There's two that are like a belt loop connection. I'm sorry. There's two that are like, will clip almost like a cell phone case or a beeper. And then the one in the third one attaches around a belt loop or a buttonhole, and it snaps in, and it's not easily removed from the person's clothing. So you can put it on a belt loop, you can put it on a shoelace. It just depends, as I mentioned, what the need is and what that person is comfortable in. And there's a couple different options that we can work with you to make sure that it's something that you're comfortable with. This is a screenshot from the app of the GeoBit. Same kind of technology. It shows you the map of the location of your loved one. What is also a benefit of the GeoBit is it not only connects and identifies location based on GPS, it also connects to the caregiver's phone via Bluetooth. And for those of you who are not familiar with Bluetooth technology, Bluetooth was developed so that accessories could be attached to your phone without a wire. So I always explain that Bluetooth is kind of like an invisible wire. If you have a Bluetooth set of headphones, it's like they have an invisible wire that goes to your phone. So just like any of you who are familiar with it know, if you get too far away from your phone, what happens to the Bluetooth? Just like if you were walking away with a wire connected, the wire would break or would disconnect from the device. So what's beneficial about the GeoBit is it connects via Bluetooth to the caregiver's phone. Here's the benefit to that. If you are at a store or you are down on the square or somewhere where you want to make sure that your loved one is close by, if your loved one gets too far away from you and that Bluetooth disconnects, you will get an alert on your phone. Same thing if you were home with your caregiver. I'm sorry, if the person was home with their caregiver, as soon as they get too far away from the caregiver's phone, the caregiver would get an alert on their phone that the person has gone too far and the Bluetooth connection is lost. this is like an immediate notification that the person has gone too far. And sometimes people who have concerns about their loved one getting up in the middle of the night and wandering from home, they like this option because as soon as that person hits about the front door, that Bluetooth connection is lost and the notification will go off. And so they're able to get up and redirect their loved one to come back to bed and to stay home. And thus, like I said, preventing any wandering behavior from hopefully occurring. The GeoBit also offers the same geofence technology where you're able to identify trusted places or safe zones. And as soon as the GeoBit leaves that trusted place or that safe zone, there's a notification that's sent to the caregiver's phone that alerts them that the person is no longer there. So I know I went over a lot of information and a lot of different things. I'm opening it up to now, and Maureen, maybe with your assistance, any questions that you have.
So I actually have some questions about the phone that it attaches to. Do you have to use an iPhone or can it just be an Android?
iPhone or Android. They
Okay.
both work, but it has to be a smartphone.
Okay. The other question is, so for instance, you mentioned this disconnect point of time, right? So a caregiver goes out and they go, and again, what's the distance between home and where this caregiver has to be that you're connected? Is it 10 miles, 20 miles?
So the caregiver can be anywhere in the world. We have some caregivers or family members that are out of state that can operate, that can have this application. And that's another good point, is that if you have family members that are out of state, children, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, that also want access to the location and to the notifications, you can give them that access too. So the caregiver can be anywhere and see the location. The Bluetooth is really for, you can turn it on and off, that feature of it. And that's really for if you're concerned about your loved one leaving your immediate vicinity, right? Leaving the home and your home, leaving a park or getting too far away at a park or a public place. And you want to know as soon as they get within a certain radius. And you can actually, without getting too technical, we can actually help you set the range to very close to, it's probably about maybe 20 or 30 feet. So there's a range that it will disconnect and alert you. But if you're not home, so if you have to go to a doctor's appointment or the store, you don't leave that feature on, but you're still able to locate the person and get notification if they leave one of those identified safe areas.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, because I have families who say, oh, my loved one still drives the golf cart and they go get the mail and they've never had a problem finding their way home. Right. But sometimes you do get turned around, right? You come in a different area or, a car's in front of you and suddenly you're turning left instead of right. And I've had people that end up in Brownwood and they live in Spanish Springs. They just didn't, they came out of Sumter the wrong direction and went the wrong way. So, yeah, so I wanted to know about that because that is a little tricky.
That would be perfect for that kind of circumstance. If the mailbox is a certain distance from the home, they would be able to go probably to that mailbox. But as soon as they went too far, they would receive notification.
Right. How brilliant the technology is. I think we do have a question from someone before I ask my next question. So who has a question?
Jean has a question?
Oh, two questions. Okay. So Jean, you want to start?
Yes, we actually have the watch, and this was my second tutorial, Sharon.
Yes, I knew your name sounded familiar.
And I love it. The watch is just wonderful.
Oh,
I was wondering if Jim left, he has a watch, so if he left an area, would I receive an alert, or is that strictly with the GeoBit?
No, both of them have what's called safe zones, which
Okay.
you can set up to be your house. And did we set up the safe zone for your house when you were?
I don't think so. And I also
Okay.
just looked at the phone and I didn't see the red circle on the phone number. You know, when I open it up in my contacts, there was
Okay.
only the green and the message and a video, like a typical entry in the contacts. There wasn't the red.
That is when you open it up in the app.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, the menu button in the app. Like if you click his picture in the app, you should get that screen
All
where
right.
it says quick connect, call, settings, profile, things like that.
All right. Thank you.
And if you need some, and here's the thing with the program, and nobody is ever a bother. I have gotten quite good at technical support for these devices. I am learning, but both companies have great customer service, and also I'm able to, if you have questions, because we do try to go over everything that we can think of, but as questions develop, call me, please, and I am happy to walk anybody through anything, any issues that you're having.
Thank you.
No problem.
And I found the red dot.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
All right, I think Martha, you're next.
Yes. My question is, the watch would replace the watch he's already wearing. It has the date and time. Is that correct?
Yes, so there are 3 different face options for the watch. They are
I
all
saw that.
digital. Yep. One is an analog clock. One is a digital time, and my favorite one is the one that has the date and digital time.
Yes. Now, did I understand you to say that you come to our home?
I can come to your home, or you can come to the sheriff's office.
I
Either one.
see. Okay, but if you don't come to our home, how do you set the boundaries?
We can look up the address.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's an
Okay.
option to put the address in.
Okay. And this sheriff's department is on Powell Road?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Or
Thank you.
I can meet you, depending on where you live in the villages. I can also meet you at the annex office, which is on 460.
Okay.
If
Yeah, I
that's
live in Lake Sumter.
okay. Great.
And do we order these watches or do you have them on hand?
I usually have them on hand. We are currently waiting for our next shipment in. So usually it's not a long turnaround. It's like the next day I'm able to give out the device. But I'm hoping that our next shipment comes in maybe at the beginning of next week.
Okay. Do we have to make an appointment to see you?
Yes, ma'am. So
Okay.
what I will, and I do have a slide with, do you want me to put up my contact information, Lisa, real quick?
Perfect. And then what I suggest you do, Martha, is if you have your cell phone, take a picture of her slide. So if you have your, yep, so when she puts her slide up here, go ahead and take her picture, then you have her contact information
Okay.
right on your phone, okay?
Are you
The
guys
other
able to
question,
see that?
Sharon, it's waterproof. The watch is waterproof, correct or not?
They are both water resistant.
Okay.
So I tell everyone you can shower, bathe, get caught in the rain, just no deep sea diving.
Right, but you'd have to charge it every day. So
Yes.
you have to be really, aware that once you take that shower, every other day for seniors, that they put it back on and then it's recharged. So
They can wear it in the shower. They can
Okay.
wear it in the shower.
So let me ask you this question. Most people recharge their cell phones at night, right?
Right.
And so
right.
you're taking off the device at night to recharge it. How long does it take for that device to recharge? Is it like a half an hour? Because the moment you take it off, now you go into risk of not putting it back
Right.
on. Or again, it's nighttime and they do wander.
Right. So I have this conversation with every new participant in the program. If there is a concern for nighttime wandering, I always say, get into a habit of charging it at a specific time in your routine that you know you are with your loved one. So if your routine is in the morning, you both sit down and have coffee and breakfast and watch the news or read the newspaper, and it's about an hour or 2 hours that you know you are with that person, that's when you would make a daily habit, no matter what the battery life is, to put it on the charger. It takes less than 2 hours from completely dead to charge it to 100%. So it shouldn't be completely dead, after a day of wearing. So it might be half charge, only need to be half charged. So it may only take about an hour, half hour, whatever the case may be. But I tell everybody to think about a time in their schedule where it's a habit to take off the watch, put it on the charger, do whatever it is that you're doing, and then put the watch back on. If wandering at night is not a concern and you want to leave it on the charger at nighttime, or you have other safety things in place for nighttime wandering, then you can take it off at night and throw it on the charger all night. I always recommend to families that, it's technology. It can, the perfect storm can happen, right? Something, you get distracted, and perhaps, something happens where they're not wearing the watch and wander, right? So there are always other things that I recommend to put in place: alarms on doors, our human scent preservation kit, which we try to give to every family that comes, which allows the scent of the loved one to be stored in a jar so that our canines can track the loved one if they wander on foot. And some other safety precautions that we can put into place as well. But yes, there has to be some kind of a routine. And like I said, every family is different, every caregiver is different, every individual is different. So I try to have that conversation with everybody who comes in to say what kind of best fits in your daily routine and meets the needs that you have, and offers that assistance.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you.
Another real
Yep.
quick, I'm sorry. Another thing I forgot to mention is that the sheriff's office does have the ability. Now, we are very respectful of privacy and do not monitor location of any of our participants. So I have to make that very clear. But we are able, thanks to the developers of these devices, to log into a portal and track a specific person in case of wandering. So we did that in case something happens, because it's technology, because, if somebody is upset or anxious about their loved one wandering and needs assistance from law enforcement to help that person come home. In addition, if that person wanders in a vehicle, if that person gets in a vehicle and is lost, is supposed to come home from a doctor's appointment and is lost and is a county or two away, our dispatch is able to locate them and dispatch a deputy directly to their exact location. And so we did that as a backup to offer another net of security that we can locate them and send a deputy to exactly where they are in case, there's any kind of technology issue or safety issue.
Yeah, that's brilliant, because if a caregiver, we know 65% of the caregivers actually get very sick as a caregiver. And if they end up having a hospitalization, or if they're late, or something happens, a car accident, God forbid, right? Suddenly that person with cognitive impairment is home alone, right? And sometimes they don't have the ability, if they've had a stroke or a major medical event, to even know what's going on. Now, is there some sort of symbol on the house that would identify that there's this tracker? Do you give them a sticker? Do you give the family that has the phone a sticker? How are they identified as, I am a caregiver and the one that I care for could be left at home? Is there an identifier?
So we will mark any participant in this program. We actually have a way to flag them in our, we call it our CAD, our computer automated dispatch system. So we're able to flag them in our system that they are somebody with Alzheimer's and dementia, and that they are somebody that has one of these devices. I always recommend to people that if any of you are familiar with the Vial of Life program, And Lisa, I'm sure that you are with all the times that
We've
we've,
talked about it.
but yes, we try to make sure that everybody has a vial of life, because that's a really great way. That is where the sticker comes from. There's a sticker that you put on your door and also on your refrigerator that identifies that you have this vial of life. And we talk to caregivers about identifying on there that their loved one has Alzheimer's or dementia, and identify somebody that we can call in case of an emergency, and in case the caregiver needs hospitalization or some kind of medical care, that we know who we can call, who's familiar with the loved one and that can help give care.
That's great. That's really great. Well, we're excited about this program coming to us. Thank you so much for all your hard work getting the funding for this, and then sharing the message with families that are in need, because it really is a life-changing event to be able to have this tracker. So thank you for that. And I do want to try to maybe set up a presentation for you, maybe at one of the assisted living communities or memory care communities, just so that the public really gets to learn about this, because we're a small audience today, but there's sure absolutely a need for this. And so thank you for all you're doing to keep the residents safe here, and support the families in their journey. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It is such a blessing to me to be able to help families really have that peace of mind. I can't tell you how good it feels for me to be able to have a family member come to me and say, this just gives me so much peace of mind that I know that where my loved one is, and that if something happens, I can find them. And so, and then just keeping families at home and keeping people at home as long as possible.
That's great. Yep. Safety is number one, right? Well, thank you
Absolutely.
so much. We hope you
I
all
have
have
a
a
quick
great day. Any
question?
questions by chance? Is there
Yeah,
anyone?
any chance
questions?
Jean's asking if
Oh.
Lake and Marion County will be adding this to their program? Sharon, we talked about this. Can you tell them about that?
So anybody can purchase these devices. They are not specific to the sheriff's office. And I can send both websites to Maureen and Lisa to have them send out to you so that you can see the websites. Anybody can order them themselves and purchase them. I mean, they'd have to pay for it, unfortunately. I would love to see the success of this program grow to Lake and Marion counties, especially since this community of the villages is all three counties, and there is a need in all three counties. So I would love to see that happen. So I'm really hoping if we see a good success and that these devices are being utilized, that we can start to grow it. I would love that.
And then I think someone else had a question. Dr. Jim, do you want to come off mute there? Let's see. Maureen, are you able to take Dr. Jim off?
I think
There
I'm
we go.
off now.
Thank you.
Sharon, I'm Dr. Jim from the TLC program, and
Hi.
I am very impressed with you and your technology.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
20 years ago, I bought something similar for my dog, and it didn't work. And anyway, I thank you very much. I did have a question.
Sure.
I'm also vice president of our organization, and I'm interested in money issues. How much do these devices cost your grant?
So the watch is, we purchase the locking clasp and the watch, and we also have a warranty on the devices so that families don't have to worry if they break or malfunction or there's something that's wrong with them, that they're covered for the entire grant, the life of the grant, which is 3 years. So it's about $300 per watch with all of that. And then we pay monthly, somewhere around $20 a month per watch for the service. The GeoBit is a little bit less expensive. It's about $130. And their monthly fee is somewhere around $15, I believe. And so that's per device.
Now, if there are more than one person in the family who would like to keep track of their loved one, can a family have more than one or two devices?
Yes, sir. So more than one person with Alzheimer's or dementia, or more than one caregiver?
Well, more than one, okay, they would have one person with the dementia and sometimes the whole family becomes a caregiver if it's a
Yes,
good
sir.
situation.
Yes.
And a lot of people went in on this, not just the person who's tasked. I was wondering then, if the whole family, let's say this is a good family and they want to all be watch
Involved.
grandma. Involved, I like that better. Can they have more than one device?
Yeah,
I-
they
I-
actually
for the-
only need one device. They both devices allow you to have what's called a care team. So it's more than one. So say, for example, we do have one participant who lives here in the Villages with one daughter, but the other two daughters live in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And so all three of them have access to their dad's location, and he can call all three of them from the watch as well.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank Lisa and Maureen for doing this. I'm impressed. Let's put it that way. I'm
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, sir.
Jim.
I am very excited about this.
You should be very proud. It's
Thank you.
huge. It's absolutely huge. So anything we could do, anything you could think of to get the message out, I'd be happy to help support you doing this, because I know the vials of life have been really important.
Yes.
And we really appreciate all the work on the back end to get this done, and the grant money, and then to get the message out. So anything we can ever do to help you, you just let us know, Sharon.
That's great, Lisa.
Congratulations
Thank you so
on
much.
the program.
And thank you for having me.
Okay, well, everybody have a great week. And again, if you need anything, certainly you can go to my email and connect with me on my website, and then we'll connect you with Sharon. So everybody get the word out to your friends about this program so they can sign up too. All right, keep your loved ones safe. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again.